Professor Anastasakis, thank you for joining us. You are an analyst of not just of the Balkans, but also of Greece, a comparative analyst. I was wondering whether you could give us your sense of what kind of a political force a party like Golden Dawn is today in Greece.
I believe it's a clear example of an extreme right-wing force, which is openly violent and openly racist and anti-democratic. So they have 18 MPs in the parliament who do not particularly respect the parliament, but they are there in order to make as much noise as possible and to present their own nationalistic and aggressive and racist positions. And on the other hand, they have an extra parliamentary activity, which on the one hand it is a violent activity, and on the other hand it's also trying to put on a humanitarian face towards those who suffer from the crisis, are poor or are victims of immigrants.
I'm interested in the fact that often when people speak about Golden Dawn, they draw a parallel with the economic conditions and the severity of the crisis in Spain. And they say it's interesting that in Spain there was not such a development on the extreme right, whereas in Greece there was. How do you explain this difference in terms of, given the severity of the crisis in both places, youth unemployment, what explains this difference?
This is a very good question. It has to do a little bit, I believe, also with the background, in that Greece has had great difficulty after 1989 to come to grips with the new multicultural environment. So the whole influx of refugees that came from Eastern Europe and later from other impoverished or more problematic societies in Africa or Asia, actually had a big problem in adjusting in Greek society. Being a quite homogeneous society in terms of Orthodox religion or the Greekness or whatever that is of the identity, the whole 1989 change actually meant that Greece, 1/10 of the population came from abroad. So that was a massive kind of upset of the society. Because Greeks, to a large degree, and the state itself, were not able to integrate and incorporate this new reality, either by regulating immigrants, illegal immigrants or asylum seekers in a systematic way, or by incorporating their discourses. I mean, you may know, you may not know, the issue of creating a mosque in Greece has been an issue of 2 centuries now, and it still hasn't been solved in Athens. There's no mosque actually in Athens. And that keeps on coming back as an issue, but there is such a big resistance. So there is a cultural resistance to the other. And that is in many ways a fertile ground in difficult times of economic crisis for such parties actually to benefit. Exactly.
Final question. I think one of the things that some would point to is that there was a level of institutionalized corruption in Greek politics, on both sides of the political spectrum, which perhaps created a bigger opportunity. Would you agree with that? I mean, what role does the corruption of the political elite play in the rise of such a party?
Oh, it plays a lot, because there has been a discrediting of the political elites, and that it hasn't been just an internal situation. There was more of a contract between citizens and their state, and it was of a more or less clientelistic nature. There was also a networking kind of relationship between them and the state. So the level of trust was never very high, and there was also such a big pressure from abroad. I don't think we should forget that factor. The issue of actually, sovereignty in Greece was particularly harmed. And the political elites are seen in the eyes of the whole population as mere puppets, actually, in terms of having to do what outsiders tell them to do. They are mere micromanagers, actually, of demands that come from the Troika. So that is the total discrediting, and it's a very, very easy discourse, among other discourses that the extreme right-wing party is using. This is also another discourse that can have, can sound very easily in the ears of those who can support it.
Othon, thank you very much.